Welcome to Breaking News on Breakaway USA, where we shatter the mainstream narrative by giving you insights into things the media will never show you. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. We're going to highlight stories that you need to know about. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. This is why we do it. My name is Fabian Garcia, and alongside me, we have Mr. Kevin Phares and
Hello.
Mr. David Kate. Take it away,
What's
David.
going on, guys? We have such awesome topics to cover tonight. Trump is back in court, but he's facing two hearings at the same time. You don't want to go anywhere. We're going to cover that right away. And you've probably seen these crazy videos all over your headlines of these students essentially bidding tent cities across college campuses on all various college campuses across America. And guess what? We're going to have a perspective from a college student at one of these prestigious schools of what's exactly going on the ground there. We have a funny quick break, also a meme reaction, the best meme we've saw this whole entire week. And we're going to get all the boys' take on this. I can't wait for that. Trump is up big, although he's facing trials and everything like that. He's up big across battleground states, and the polls are showing exactly that. But there's some suspicious anomalies that we're going to have to update you about on. And of course, we're going to have Kev's quick hits.
Oh, yes.
Kev's quick hits.
Kev's quick hits. Fellas, before we start the amazing show, how was your day? How's the week so far?
Man, I'm ready for Kev's quick hits. It was a big hit last time.
But we have a lot to get through before that. I sprained my ankle yesterday, but don't worry, everybody. I can sit and do this show, so we're still going to get through everything here.
I'm guessing you're not going to be like jumping up and throwing your chair all of a sudden, though.
I don't know. If I get pissed off enough, then maybe I'll have to put myself through the pain. We'll see. But let's get on into this first story here. Trump, New York trial testimony resumes as the Supreme Court hears immunity arguments. So this was making big headlines this last week because, in just in the last few days, because Trump was not allowed to go hear the Supreme Court's oral arguments about qualified immunity for presidents. So basically meaning that in some way because he was president, he wouldn't necessarily be able to be charged with some crimes that he's currently charged with. And the Supreme Court would decide on the constitutionality of that argument. And the judge in New York didn't care. She said, you still got to be in court for this. You got to be here. You got to do this. And he ended up getting a really wild response. Former President Trump faces day 7 of his New York criminal trial today as witness testimony is set to continue. Judge Juan Merchan may also issue a ruling on Trump's alleged gag order violations, which is another thing that's been trending. People have been saying that Trump might be going to jail because he's violated a gag order, basically saying that Trump isn't allowed to speak his mind on things. The Supreme Court also heard arguments, as I mentioned, in Trump's presidential immunity case in Washington, D.C., and that case is now adjourned and will be brought up again on May 9th. So we still have a little bit of time. Trump made a surprise visit to supporters at a construction site in Manhattan. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But first off, with just these cases, boys, what are your thoughts?
Well, nothing new, right, Fabian? Go ahead.
Nothing new under the sun. No, this is just a continuation of what they have been doing to him time and time again. And, we've said this so many times, and it's starting to spread everywhere. That people are smart. They understand what's happening. I think last week I was talking about even, you see a lot of Black Americans who are starting to support Trump now. And when you throw when you throw everything that you have at your disposal using lawfare, Black people, for the most part, grew up saying, I know when the man wants to stick it to you, they'll throw everything they have at you. And they have, they want to fight against the system. And now they see themselves in Donald Trump. And that's a scary thing for Democrats.
It is. And we talked about this last week, actually, that a bunch of people, when they saw Trump's mugshot, that was the best campaign ad that no money could have bought for him, because so many people, especially the minority crowd, the one that make up all the Democrat vote at the end of the day, they love that. They feel the same type of grievances. They feel resentment. So when they see that, they're all fired up. They want Trump. And I don't think there's any more evidence than the fact that when he goes to like Harlem, for example, like we saw last week, he's getting massive support to the point of where now he's thinking about possibly even winning New York. So it's crazy. Like let them do that. Let them continue doing that, because I think that is the best thing that the Democrats can continue doing until November. It's just continue prosecuting the dude, and in some instances it's actually persecuting him. I know that he was in court this week, actually, or he was the Supreme Court was hearing arguments regarding presidential privilege, the immunity regarding while president, should you be immune to all of that stuff. So I don't know, guys, what do you think? Should the president be immune from anything, or what?
I think it should be very, very specific. Look, there are some things that obviously, if we're not going to prosecute everybody equally, maybe we should consider whether or not, or what level of crime it actually should be. For example, the classified documents thing. Joe Biden was found to have committed the exact same acts Trump did, if not even worse, and should be put
But he's
under.
too old, guys. Remember, he's too old.
But exactly, that's the
They
issue
literally
they
said
come
that,
up
yeah.
with,
Hold
is
up,
that-
that's a Republican special prosecutor. That's why he said that.
yeah. No,
That's
but and so
crazy.
that's the whole thing, is like, yeah, maybe there are some things that we need to reevaluate. When it comes to the president, he's going to be under a lot more scrutiny of the law. And while I'd love to say everybody's equal under the law, and I'd like that to be the case, the difference is that how many people have, or how many times has anybody else ever been charged with an insurrection? Look, what does an insurrection even mean anymore? We don't have a justice system at this current point in which we can assume that everybody's going to be equal under the law, because they aren't. And so we can't, there needs to be some level of immunity that we grant, because President Biden's getting it.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, Fabian, I'll just be real quick with this.
No.
I think that I really hope the Supreme Court rules against Trump, because if they say that, no, you're not immune to everything that happens while you're president, that really opens up the door to a lot of ex-presidents like Obama, for example. A lot of people know this, that he like drone bombed U.S. citizens in Syria and Yemen, right? And extend that to George Bush, extend that to Clinton. I mean, guys, this is almost perfect. They're like, I don't know.
Well,
I really hope that.
And just today, I was listening to, I don't know who from the federal government argue, I believe in front of Brett Kavanaugh, about the drone strikes that Obama had done. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe he said that it doesn't count as murder because he wasn't there, because it was separated by thousands of miles. Somehow he's not responsible for it. So
wait. So then what was bin Laden? Then was bin Laden not responsible for the 9/11 attacks because he was thousands of miles away?
The logic of these people is going to get them. It's going to get them in a deeper hole than they already are. I mean, the fact that they're trying to change the meaning of everything right now and go through a communismification, I'll call it, of language, is exactly why we're here. And I mean, you're starting to see that the contortions that they've been doing with words are starting to get them in trouble as well.
Like you guys were saying earlier, I mean, they literally distort words now. They change the meanings of them. They say insurrection. The media's probably said insurrection more in the last 2-3 years than they've ever said since the media's been around. And that's how they create certain meanings for words, because we all know that an insurrection is a well-planned essential coup. And there was nothing like that on January 6th. There was no well-organized plan. Nobody was involved in it in terms of like the military or something like that.
Actually, David, you're wrong. There was something that was really organized, and it was an orchestration of January 6th with the cameras and the production and how they stopped the extra law enforcement from coming. It was an orchestration by the opposite side.
It was the show that the Democrats really wanted to show, and it was actually perfect. So you're right, Fabian.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I even know that there was more to this story. I believe we have a video, and this is of one of the union bosses, and he was being asked a little bit about, because Trump addressed some union members outside of New York. He's been making this trial an opportunity to actually campaign a lot in the traditionally Democratic city and state of New York. And here's what one of the union bosses said. And once again, unions are traditionally liberal in and of themselves. And so to hear them talk this way about Trump is absolutely fascinating. Take a look and a listen.
In the past, we are basically Democrats, all of us. And after what's happened the last 4 years in this country, Democrats are basically pushing everybody to the other side. We're a very patriotic group, and we love our country, and we want the best for America. We are tired of immigration. We're tired of our tax dollars going to immigration. We're tired of the crime. We need to put a handle on things in this country and bring it back to how it should be. I put out a poll in my union. President Trump is leading Joe Biden 3-1 on my presidential poll out of my 9,000 members right now. We are very tired of the situation with groceries, inflation, gas prices, illegal immigration, crime. We're living it every day in New York City. In the past,
man, that is one guy I don't want to have on my side. He looks like a union boss with that trench coat and his New York accent.
Oh yeah,
get him, boy.
No, absolutely. What do you guys think though about the idea that even the traditionally leftist or not even leftist, traditionally Democrat organizations are going more for Trump?
Well, and that's interesting because Biden has been a massive union guy his whole life. His whole life, he touts unions love me, and now they're starting to break. And the origination of the union, when I think about it, I think of New York unions, Boston unions. So if all these other unions across the country, and they are watching this, they're saying, wow, the OGs, the vets are starting to break. So it's gonna bring up talk, at their meetings, and come up with people with rumblings, and everything's horrible. Bidenomics does not work. So I'm excited that finally unions are breaking from their stranglehold of the Democratic Party.
No, same here. And this reminds me a lot of what was starting to happen in 2016 is like, for example, Trump would go to Michigan and he would speak in front of a bunch of union workers and also the freaking executives of like Ford and whatnot. And he would literally tell them straight to their face, say, hey, listen, if you don't bring these manufacturing jobs back to America, you stop outsourcing them, we're going to slap a 25% tariff on you guys. And he proudly said that. So union workers understood that back then, and now they're understanding it more than ever because they've received 4 years of Trump and 4 years of Biden, where they were placed in the back seat under Biden now when they were in the front seat when it was Trump organization. So this is the stuff I love to see, and now it reflects on the polls that we're going to be discussing later in this show as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I know we have that. I know we also have one more video of Trump outside the courthouse. It was really fascinating. I saw things of him talking about how he's going to be trying to do some kind of a rally at Madison Square Garden and other areas in New York.
Yeah.
He had
I
all the
can't wait
union
for
people.
this.
He had Hispanics and Black people yelling, screaming for Trump, all going against the mainstream media narrative that minorities, that New Yorkers, that liberal areas do not like Trump, and it seems as though they do. Take a look and listen at this video.
By the way, I never see him hold a microphone like he's going to hold it right now.
In New York, I understand that we're leading in the country by a lot. Poll just came out a little while ago, as you saw yesterday, that we're up in every swing state and up by a lot in every swing state. So I think we're going to do very well, and we're going to make a play for New York. They said, I just heard there was a very good poll came out. Normally, a Democrat will win New York. Biden is the worst president in history, and we have some very bad people here, but we have the greatest people, and they're right behind me. And they all want us to run, and we're gonna run very hard in New York. New York, we have a good chance of winning New York, in my opinion, but we're going to give it a shot. We're going to give it a shot. Oh, I have no idea. They've taken my constitutional right away with a gag order. That's all it is. It's election interference. This whole thing is election interference. So the polls have just come out, and I just got another sample. We're leading every swing state by a lot, and we're leading the nation by a lot. He's the worst president in the history of our country. He makes Jimmy Carter look great. Jimmy Carter is very happy because his presidency was brilliant by comparison. But this is the worst president we've ever had. He's destroying our country. Close the borders. You can do it in one phone call. You can close the borders. Close up the borders, Joe. Our country's going to hell.
All right, pause it.
You know what? I actually
Close up the borders, Joe. Our country's going to hell. Close them up. Close them up. They say traditionally, usually a Democrat wins New York, but it might seem based on the polls I could be leading. You don't know. But That's just what this is all election interference, everybody. That's what they say. It's election interference. We see it. They're trying to gag me. Jimmy Carter. He was brilliant. Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You know, I actually like that he had a mic because he was able to drop it. And so he had that moment, the mic drop moment.
Absolutely.
But you know, I've been saying this for a while. If it's I would love for him. That would be such a shocker to the Democratic Party, and not even just to the party, but people seeing this. If he did show up to Madison Square Garden, pack the place, the most iconic arena in the entire world, besides the Roman Coliseum, in my opinion, pack that place up with people from Harlem, from Bronx, from everywhere, that would be the biggest fu to everyone. That is, you know, trying to make him go away for life, 700 years or something like that. Like, oh my gosh, come on. I hope he does it.
Absolutely. Thoughts, David?
I mean, this is Trump at its finest, right? He's talking to the media raw, like he likes to. Bring it, as he always says. Come on, I'm talking to the fake news. And I mean, listen, I think New York is in place simply because of all the stuff that's happening in the Middle East. I know our guest coming up in the next segment probably would agree with us. And not only that, but Elise Stefanik, she's an awesome congresswoman out of New York, and she's really, you know, stepping up the groundwork there, the grassroots level, or the grassroots movement that's happening in New York. So I definitely think New York is in play. 2022 was a perfect example of that. That's the reason we have a majority in the first place in the House. I'm pretty excited to see it because they're constantly talking about how Texas is in play, but they're never talking about New York being in play. And I'm like, I don't know what they're seeing, but
and I'm curious to see what California comes in compared to the last election. I've been telling people I see a change. People are changing, and they're scared to say it out loud. But because they watch my videos, they'll see me somewhere and be like, "Hey, man, I can't say what you say," and I'm like, "You can." There's a lot of people like you. Like, you're not alone.
Well, and
So
even California, if you looked at the last election, I was really surprised. They ended up being able to pull in just a few more seats out of the House that they were not expected to. In +1, +2D districts, they were able to really pull their weight in a way that I wasn't expecting. Other places lost big time, and California actually flipped some seats and turned some surprises. So I think there are a lot more states that are swing, that are traditionally blue, than people are willing to admit.
And it's good because it makes the Dems have to spread out their organization, spread out the money, which is better.
Absolutely. And I know we have a lot to talk about when it comes to polling numbers and everything, but we also have a phenomenal guest coming up here soon to talk about our protests on college campuses. But first, a quick ad break.
Oh, yeah. And shout out to our sponsor, Freedom Water, amazing company. They have an incredible product. This water says this water hasn't been indicted yet. It's funny because we were just talking about Trump. But what they are is they're more than a water company. They're a movement that's fighting for freedom of speech. So you'll see it all over the branding. They we work very well with them. We can say whatever the hell we want, and they love it. But the water tastes really good. They have this really unique purification process that includes reverse osmosis, O3 ozonated infusion, and ultraviolet water filtration. So make sure that you check them out, support them. They support us. Let's all support each other. Make sure you go to freedom20.com/USA, and you'll see all of our beautiful pictures on there as well.
Absolutely. And this water always reminds me that our freedom isn't free. So make sure you go grab it. In recent days, you've probably seen this all over the news. College campuses are suddenly turning into tent cities. And it's not due to homeless people, although I'm sure they're making their ways inside this encampment. But these students are actually protesting what is going on in Gaza right now. And the way that they're protesting is by blocking access for other students, specifically Jewish students, to enter their college classes, their dorms, stuff like that, to the point of where a lot of these schools actually bowed down to these protesters and canceled in-person classes. And this is happening across prestigious universities such as Columbia, Yale, and like our guest today who attends George Washington University, Ari Patkin. He's a student at George Washington University, and he's also the co-founder of CEES MENA. He's going to tell us all about that here in a second. But Ari, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really happy to be on here.
Absolutely. Well, just to let everybody know, I met Ari actually when I was up at CPAC, and he's a great, awesome person to run into. So we kind of hit it off, exchanged information, and we love it that you're on here to talk about this crazy stuff. Yeah. Just to give people some context, you go to school at George Washington University. It's a prestigious university. A lot of great scholars, individuals came out of there. And you and I were talking a few days ago about having you on the show to talk about the economic impact, because you're a student of economics, in the Middle East, while all this stuff started to erupt in schools like Columbia and Yale. And you actually told me, I asked you, I was like, you mind telling us a little bit about what's happening there and on your campus? And you actually said, nothing's really happening on my campus. It's pretty fine. Well, this morning, it changed fully. So tell us what happened this morning, Ari.
So it started at 6 a.m. They were starting a counter protest because the SJP on our campus was able to come back into the organization's pool. One of the kids, a kid who I do not wish to name because he is, if I don't want to give him any credit, was also acquitted of his abhorrent behavior towards Jewish students, spitting at them, harassing them when we are tabling for Jewish events, pro-Israel events. And what happened was they were now able to organize this multi-school protest on our quad, which is U Yard. It's a small green area, but it still gives them a lot of space to house, not just house, but hold 800 to 1,000 students. And that's exactly what happened. It wasn't even students. It was students, and it was faculty, and it was also civilians from outside the university. And they all coalesced together. They brought in tents. And they started harassing students. And the law school had to move all of their testing, their final test exams, away from the real law school into other locations, into undergraduate classes, et cetera, et cetera. That is absolutely terrible. They have been annoying us. I had an exam right near them, and I had to leave, and I had to try and go around them. It was disgusting to hear some of the things that they were saying, such as "Go back to 48." We're gonna go back to 48. No more Israel. Intifada, and that's just that's calling for the death of a lot of my family members who are in Israel right now, and a lot of my friends who are fighting in Israel for the protection of the state.
Wow. Ari, do you feel like these people on campus, do they all look like they actually go to the school, or do you see some characters that obviously are too old to go to school or just too organized to be a regular student?
It was way too organized. They had a food area. They had an area in which they had a medical tent.
Wow.
They had a poop tent. So they were pooping in the area. They closed off thankfully the university closed off all surrounding buildings except for the Western Market, which is an open public space where people can buy food, eat, go to the bathroom, stuff. But they didn't even go into the Western Market. They just went there and did their duty. And then, I saw there was this one couple with a kid. There were multiple people with kids coming in and protesting with the group. One of them was a couple who are pastors, and this little 6-year-old, it has to be 6-year-old girl, just coming in. I told her straight to her face, "This is child abuse. What are you doing? Why are you bringing this kid into this area where there's potential danger of the police coming and arresting everyone," which ended up not happening. And thankfully it didn't happen, because then the children would be in serious danger. But still, Why
Wow.
would you bring a kid to a protest like this?
It just
No.
this reminds me so much, same characteristics as the BLM riots. I mean, supported from exterior organizations, nothing to do with the movement, bringing their kids around to show them that stuff. It's outrageous. Kev, what were you gonna say
Yeah,
there?
absolutely. Well, awesome being at GW. I mean, like you're out in DC, and I've been out to that area. I've checked out GW. My sister went to American.
Oh, beautiful.
I love the area. I'm actually going to Liberty out in Lynchburg, a little further south of you soon.
Yeah, I know some people at Liberty. They
Yeah,
they run the podcast over there at the think tank over there.
absolutely. But being a recent college grad myself, what I would always notice is that movements, whatever it may be, get co-opted by every other leftist movement too. And I always find it funny, especially when it comes to the Palestine one, because they try to put in like these gay agendas and stuff within Free Palestine when they don't even realize Islam hates gays.
Well,
So do you notice that on your campus? Are they infusing
of
these
course.
other agendas and
Oh,
everything?
of course.
through
Yeah,
it?
there was this one kid who was in a LGBTQ plus fraternity, and he was wearing a keffiyeh and doing the SJP stuff and doing all like the protesting. And I saw him at the protest, and I'm just sitting there. And we have a saying in the Jewish and in the pro-Israel community, and just like in the people who understand community, that's like saying chicken for KFC. Or,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Thanksgiving.
I've seen that one.
Yeah. So I mean, and then the other intersections come into play here. So there's a lot of there's a lot of communists. There's a lot of communists in the area who are just pro this movement because they feel like they're oppressed as well. And then there was this one sign that I saw where it just said "Stop killing Black and brown kids," and I was like, well, what? I don't think Gaza, Mizrash Hashem, I don't think kids are intentionally trying to be killed. But I think that was just a generally towards police officers rather than the actual situation. That's what we were interpreting. I don't know what she was interpreting.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because there's a website called beautifultrouble.org, and I suggest everyone go to it. It's a leftist activist website, and I've done many videos exposing specific strategies that they use. They show you how to stage a protest, how every single thing is out there, and that's where they learn.
Yeah.
It's like their anarchy cookbook. And one thing they say is something called faza'ah, which is they take advantage of any situation to get communists in and to get communists and to recruit in any issue.
Communists, you have to give it to them. Communists really know how to organize.
Absolutely.
They have been notoriously really
Because they have
good
no
at
jobs.
Yeah, they have no jobs. They have nothing else to do. So what did they do? They organize. They try to cause trouble, and that's what's happening here. You have an intersection of multiple different oppressed groups, and with that, they become the strong organism. They become the strong body, which leaches onto different problems, and they cause issues within a sovereign state to rock the boat. And that's exactly what's happening. They're rocking the boat.
Absolutely. Well, and so GW is a private institution. We've noticed these tent cities coming up at both public and private institutions. Down in Texas, which is a public institution, it was UT Austin, I believe, is where Greg Abbott today sent the National Guard and began arresting people, in which was deemed a controversial move because some people claim that he was stifling free speech. Now, we could have that debate if we want to, but nonetheless, it would seem as though he's trying to keep some level of peace on that campus while people are screaming death to America, death to Israel, death to Jewish people. What is your administration doing over at GW, Ari, being that it's private?
So I have to give credit where credit is due. The president at my university, Ms. Gramberg, has done the best that she could. She has to deal with Qatari money. She has to deal with different individuals like who are in her ear, but also outside, and also catering to the students as well. So we have to keep in mind that she has to walk a fine balance that is not easy to walk. In addition, she's a brand new president. Like I can't stress this enough. She inherited a problem that has been building up over time. It's very hard as a new president to come in swinging, because if you come in swinging, then you have a whole half of the university probably who are going to go against you, and they will eventually kick you out. So you have to be very careful when it comes to like, as a president, you have to be very careful. Now, they've tried their best to quell the situation, and they've done a pretty good job at trying to keep the peace between Jews and Arabs and the Israel and the anti-Israel, pro-Israel groups. But there's too much organization from outside the university that it's hard to contain it.
Yeah.
And this was one of the cases where it's very difficult to contain. The DC police were requested. We never got them. They were supposed to come in at 7 p.m. and arrest everyone. We were told to vacate the area by some insiders. They told us, hey, get out of the way. You can go up into one of the academic buildings and watch. We were going to have it was going to be a watch party. It was going to be
let's watch all the leftists go to jail. It's like it's our Super Bowl.
It's always fun to watch.
It's always interesting to watch, but at the same time, nothing happened. It was a clear disappointment. It was a clear letdown on some of us, those of us with popcorn. Well, popcorn that's kosher for Passover.
Yeah,
so macaroons. I can say macaroons.
The matzah flour for your popcorn.
Matzah crumbs. Watch the show. I mean, like, we were all disappointed over here, guys.
You know,
So,
I was going to go yesterday to the USC protest because I wanted to meet some of these people and I wanted to investigate and see what's going on, ask questions. And they actually weren't letting anyone anywhere near it unless you had a student pass, number one. And then at about 7 p.m., I believe, they got the order they gave the order for them to vacate or else they'd all be arrested. Today, they went over to UCLA and did the exact same thing. So yesterday was USC. Today was UCLA.
Incredibly organized.
It's incredible. This is
the money. You have to follow the money from it.
Open Society Foundations at work.
You have to follow the money on this one because the money, what we're seeing is that it's from the Qataris and from like NGOs in the Qataris that stem all the way up to Qatar. It's from multiple different sources that are not just the Middle East, but it's also leftist organizations, Antifa, and those who are funding Antifa. It's a real web of money that's really hard to track, but we are trying our best to figure out where is this coming from.
Yeah,
they've identified one really, really elite person here in America, Howard Harwitz. So that's an individual that we'll be investigating to see, where does all of this money go? But he funnels large sums of money, 8-9 digits worth of money. So it's crazy. Ari, real quick question. What would you like to see happen addressing this issue that's happening on campuses? Because obviously it's impacting the daily lives of not just even Jews, but just individuals who are wanting to just go to their college campus and go take a test, for example. What would you like to see happen?
That's a very good question. I'm a constitutionalist man. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in the Constitution and applying it to universities and on campus. That being said, I do believe there is a line, like you can't say bomb in a movie theater, or you can't say, or in an airport. You can't say fire in even in like a dormitory, or else you're going to get in huge trouble. Like, there are certain things that you really shouldn't say, or else you are going to reap the consequences. And since we are a private university, we do have the ability to say, okay, do not call for the death of others. That is clearly against rules, because you are inciting violence, and you're a mob who is more than capable to take care and to neutralize the enemy, or the enemy being anyone that they decide. Right? So in this case, this anti-Israel, purely anti-Semitic, it's clear anti-Semitism at its finest. And you could tell because they're telling people to kill everyone and to reinvade Israel, to go back to 1948 borders. I mean, I think I sent you a video, on them literally shouting, no more Israel, basically. Let's go back to 1948.
It's crazy. The videos you were sending to me were absolutely wild today. And it wasn't new because I just saw them in Columbia, Yale University, in Houston, University of Houston, everything. So it's absolutely crazy. We have a video that is just circulating on Twitter, so we can play that just to give people a good idea of what's happening if they haven't seen already. Well, there's a little add-on. Screw that.
This is also happening all around campuses, I guess.
A lot of advertisements. I wanted to ask real quick, if I don't want to be debating or anything necessarily, but just with the idea of anti-Semitism. Look, and like you said, there obviously is a line in free speech, but and nobody should be calling for the death of others. But technically, in and of itself, anti-Semitism isn't illegal. What's the line? What is okay to say on a campus? What shouldn't be okay to say on a campus, in your opinion, in your view? Because shouldn't it? Because just as much as
anything that's short of calling for physical harm, in my opinion. Because if you are calling for actual physical harm, then there's a problem where people may enact on it.
Mm-hmm. A direct call to violence. So if somebody went out, and I just want to be, because this is the thing, is like everybody, just as much as I have a right to go on campus and say a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and you can't change that. If somebody dislikes the Jewish people and goes out on campus and says, I dislike the Jewish people,
they're free to say that.
Yeah.
No, they're free to say that because it's their First Amendment right. And it's my First Amendment right to tell them to shut the fuck up if they want. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
My language. Yeah, it's my First Amendment right to argue with them. Mm-hmm. But then there comes to the point where it's like death to the Jews. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Like death to the Jews, death to Israel, calling for intifada, which is a call for violence. Because the intifadas, if we look through the history books, are the times in which Palestinians and Palestinian terror organizations were coming into Israel, suicide bombing, stabbing, and murdering Jewish civilians. It wasn't even not even just Jewish civilians, but Arab Israelis, Bedouin Israelis of all creed and color were being killed.
Mercifully. Yeah, they don't discriminate. I lived through the second wave of Intifada the second Intifada in Israel. I was born in 96, moved to the States in 04, lived in Jerusalem. So I actually experienced that. And when I hear students chanting that, are you kidding me? I mean, regularly buses blowing up, regularly pizza shops blowing up. That's what they're actually calling for. So I think you're absolutely right, Ari. There's a fine line between what you can say and what you can't say. And in no way, shape, or form, as us conservatives and free speech advocates, it doesn't step on the line of your freedom of speech or your First Amendment when we say things like that shouldn't be acceptable on college campuses.
People are okay to insult me if they want. That is their freedom to insult me. That's their freedom to judge me. That is their freedom to have a prejudice against my identity as a Jew.
Yeah.
What's not okay is calling for others or even hyping themselves up in some way, shape, or form, and through loudly calling for the death of my people, of my friends, my family. Essentially, what it is, the Jewish people.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for being so, out front of this issue and coming on and talking about this stuff, because to get it from firsthand to someone who's there literally today watching this happen, it doesn't get any fresher than this. You can watch videos on YouTube and stuff, but to have you on here talking about it, it gives us a whole new insight into exactly what's happening on these college campuses and who is doing the protesting. So I want to thank you for coming on, Ari, and giving us that amazing information. That was great.
It's my pleasure. Thank you guys so much.
We appreciate it, Ari.
Thank you so much, Ari.
Yeah, definitely, man. And next up, we have some battleground polls that we are going to be going over right after this very quick commercial.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some freedom to Man, the Constitution is awesome. That's what it is.
Now, I think before we get into our battleground update, I think that we should just take a quick little second to laugh at probably one of the funniest videos and memes we've seen of the week. So, Fabian, what do you think? Is it time for us to roll out the new segment?
Oh yeah, this is a brand new segment that we're calling the Meme Review Award or Meme of the Week. And we have, just to introduce it the right way, we have a little video.
I think it's a meme in and of itself that it took like 3 tries to get it to play.
Well, that might, boys, have to be the actual intro for the segment that we do from now on. We might have to clip that and actually let that be the thing. But
That's
welcome
amazing.
to the meme of the week, right? And so let's go ahead. Production Cody, please, let's put up this video up.
Yeah, and this was posted by Furious Patriot, who is a great Instagram page, posts a lot of great information. Let's go ahead and check out the meme of the week.
4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 4 more years. 4 more years.
So if you don't know what had just happened, he literally read the teleprompter word for word, but he accidentally read the word pause because he had to give time for the people to start chanting. If it wasn't coordinated enough, they had pause because he was going to have to stop and shut up and let the people do their thing that they were told to do, and he botched that one hard.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's a lot of people were, I thought it was hilarious. People were comparing this to Ron Burgundy yesterday when he said, go F yourself, San Diego, and everything like that, because he just reads the teleprompter. And it's really a sad state when we have a president of the United States who can't even understand a cue on a teleprompter. And it's not because he's like sleep deprived from working so hard or anything like that. No, he gets plenty of sleep. In fact, it's probably close to like 17 hours. And he takes vacations for like a half of his presidency. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to understand that when it says pause on the teleprompter, you're not supposed to read it. He's literally turning his brain off. Here's what's happening, everybody. He goes up onto the stage in front of people that he's hoping will vote for him again and that are cheering 4 more years, which, let's be honest, if we even know the pause is planned, then how do we not know that the 4 more years that's being cheered is not also planned? Or that every little, that's what we're basically being exposed to here. That's what people aren't understanding. People are sitting back, and yes, it's a meme of the week. It's funny. And it's fun to laugh longer, but let's look at the implication of this. What we now know for a fact is that pretty much all of the Biden rallies in which tens of people show up, they will have.
And he didn't misspeak. He literally meant tens of people.
Exactly. Tens of people will show up, and all of them have been given specific instructions. I wonder if they get cheat sheets just like Biden does, where it says at this point, when Biden says 4 more years, you repeat after him and you say 4 more years. They probably are reading it and doing it exactly because it is all planned to a T, and Biden let that slip, and he has let it slip. We've known every single second we are shown how.
Well, just like every time there's a press conference or like a rally and Biden's there, actually all the politicians do this. There has to be in the back holding a sign, a black person, a white person, an Asian person, a baby, and like parents, just to show that they're so diverse. I mean, politics, it's all a stage. It's the world's biggest soap opera.
Well,
and everything is planned to the T. When you're at this level, every single thing, like the pause, is pre-planned. So it's up to people like us to bring about people watching the stupidity and realizing it, breaking down that fourth wall and say everything that you pretty much know is a lie. So let's think critically on how to change things from the ground up using critical thinking.
You're mostly right, but that's the thing about Trump, though. On the other hand, is that like Trump just gets out there and he says whatever the hell he wants.
That's why people like him, because he's real.
Because he is real, and like that's
the teleprompter.
So love or hate, like that he says some things that might be considered rude, mean, or otherwise just not great. At least he's being real with you. At least it's not all just the stage thing. I remember I was even in a campaign politics class my last semester of college, just last semester, and we looked at pictures, like a picture from Nikki Haley's campaign in which she was in an airplane hangar. And she was giving like doing a rally in an airplane hangar, and the pictures that were posted in like the New York Times and the Associated Press made it look like there was this massive crowd of people with her on stage, and they had them all surrounding her. But then you actually but then they had pictures from the surrounding event, and it was maybe like 50 to 100 people. There wasn't a bad turnout, but you could see how empty the airplane hangar was, and it was just generally generally lying to the public. It made it seem, and that's what they will do. And I'm actually really excited. I'm about to start reading a book that talks a lot about this, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail from 1972. I know that's a massive tangent, but everybody, you should go. I've heard great things about it. I'm so excited to start reading it. Everybody should go check
crazy.
it
Yeah. Meme of the Week award, David.
Right
Meme
there.
of the week. I know that was fantastic, and like you guys were talking about, this is all staged. Obviously, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's over here screaming 4 more years for Biden, unless he's cutting them a big payout out of this. But
I mean,
I'm sure it's
I think
actually a
that's
bunch of his donors. So,
or maybe it could just be AI. Like they literally could have just put that in there with AI.
Well, did you hear about this? There was a local official who had this crazy tape come out, and he was being super racist about all this stuff, and it comes out
anti-Semitic. He was literally
anti-Semitic.
Every protected class. He was like those darn blacks, those Jews, all of them.
And it was the guy that used AI. This guy used AI to generate all that to try to get him in trouble.
He was a white principal of a school.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And a black staff member who had been fired. He was like a black athletic director. And the AI came out like months ago, and like there was an internal investigation. The FBI got involved, and then the FBI found that the tape was totally fabricated.
Well, I mean, and you have to realize, like, who in the right mind just throws everybody under the bus and talks smack about everyone just so casually. Like it's very rare. I've never met anyone who just talks so bad about every single race, one after one after one after. Like, come on,
they're all terrible. I hate all of them.
Yeah,
the blacks, the Jews, the gays, the whites, all of them terrible people.
Yeah,
that's Kev for you. Yeah. Well, I think that does it for Meme of the Week. Quick, nice little segment right there. All right, fellas, let's get into Trump smashing the polls right now across all battleground states, which is just awesome to see in general. So this is a poll from Bloomberg Morning Consult, and it shows us really all the battleground states. And guess what? Trump is up on them tremendously. So North Carolina, he's up 10%, Wisconsin 4%, Nevada 8%, Arizona 7%.
That's crazy.
Georgia 6%, Pennsylvania pretty close there, 1%, and then Michigan is holding off for Biden for now. He's up there on 2%. But fellas,
look at that! Look at that
beautiful
chart at the very bottom. Can we expand on that picture? That is wild. Look at that.
Oh, that's beautiful to see.
And that's Bloomberg that's reporting that too. That's
Bloomberg, right? That's why.
Look at that uptick, though. Look at that uptick just from March. I mean, it's been hovering the highest has been 48, but this went, yeah. Wow, that's pretty interesting. And Biden flatline. Look at that, 43, 43, 43.
His support's not going up. So he did bounce back from being like at all time, I think, just since they started polling like approval rating, like terrible, like 32, 36%, something like that. I think he bounced back to like the low 40s, but that's about it. It's just plateau, which you really got to think about it. That means that even Democrats don't like what he's doing right now.
I mean, also shows that they're not gaining anybody. If it's still at 43, Trump's gone up 2%, and he has flatlined. So everything they're doing to tell him nothing's working.
Well, there's another thing to consider here in the mix is that RFK Jr. and a couple other third-party candidates, but a lot of disenfranchised Democrat voters who are sitting there and being like, oh, crap, maybe I can't vote for Trump, but I definitely can't vote for Biden again. I'm not making that mistake again. I'm not Googling the next day after the election, how can I vote for somebody else? Which is funny. You guys have to see that there was a huge uptake of that about like a month after his inauguration. But yeah, all these people are voting for RFK. So that's a real big factor to consider here. Production, while we continue talking, can we pull up that 270 to win electoral map? Because I just want to kind of see it first.
I love these things. I have so much fun with these maps.
I know, right? So let's go in order because production, you can actually click on the state and then we'll fill it in. So North Carolina is up 10%. It's already highlighted red. Let's just go to Georgia. Georgia, shows that it's 6% up for Trump. So can we click on that Georgia state? Might be able to do that.
Right. Yeah. Right above Florida. Go down. There you
Yep,
go.
right there. Okay, beautiful. So that's in sync. We also have Arizona 7%. So Arizona, yep, right by California. There you go. Right above that, Nevada
Mhm.
as well at 8%. And if we hover to the northeastern states, we have Pennsylvania going 1% for Trump.
It's the brown one up there in the
Top right.
northeast.
Yep,
Yeah.
there
Yep,
you
there
go.
you go.
And well, we got Wisconsin. We don't even need any more because we already
Yeah.
crossed
Yeah.
this.
I'm willing to bet, if I were to stay with those last two, I'm willing to bet Wisconsin would go Trump. I think Michigan would probably go Biden by like a hair, but that's my guess.
That's what I'm thinking as well. I mean, look, if Pennsylvania goes red, I think there's no way that Wisconsin doesn't go red. The only thing that doesn't have that relationship is Michigan. Michigan is interesting, especially because
Yeah.
of the large population of Muslims, and it also being actually the thing is, though, fellas,
too
is
close
that
to
the
Canada.
union workers too close
Yeah.
to Canada, right? They're getting that garbage water, but
Yeah.
that socialist water in there.
I know you
But-
don't have to get socialist water, though. You can always get freedom too. Just so
That's
you guys
right.
know.
That is true.
Absolutely.
Can we actually, just for a quick second, pull up that map again, production? Because I want to show you guys something rather interesting. So can we highlight Michigan blue? So if you just click on it a couple times. Yep, the one you were just over. Yep, perfect. And now go to Wisconsin and put that as blue. Or sorry, it's red. Yep, let's do red. Click on it. Yep, perfect. All right, fellas. We covered the battleground states, but a couple weeks ago we saw a pretty interesting story where there is a bunch of anomalies regarding voter registration in two specific states, Texas and
Mhm.
Missouri, right? You guys
Mhm.
remember that story?
I do.
Well,
Oh yeah.
the interesting thing about that, just to remind everybody, there was a large sum of social security checks because you can use your social security number to register to vote, but these were failed attempts to actually register because there was no actual valid social security or valid driver license, meaning this individual wasn't an actual US citizen that was qualified to vote. But there was, what was it, 1.5 million attempts in Texas and 250,000 attempts in Missouri. So let's just for a second just have a hypothetical here that Texas does go blue because of these shenanigans happening there. So let's mark Texas as blue for a second.
Imagine if that happened.
Imagine if that happens. And then let's also make Missouri blue. We actually don't even need to make Missouri blue because fellas,
it's
right there, we already see how the Biden administration will stay in office because they crossed the threshold of 270. What are y'all's thoughts about this? Because we've seen the anomalies. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit my mic like that. We've seen the anomalies, and now you guys can see with a single state like Texas going to them where all these shenanigans are happening.
What's
It goes to
the
Biden.
current? Does anyone know the current Texas polling numbers? Is it because if it's obviously
It's within
if it's something-
5-6% of Trump.
Okay, that's a pretty big margin of error. I mean, that should be outside any poll margin of error. So
Definitely.
if something like this happened, and I mean it flipped, because let's say it flips 7%, right? I think all hell would break loose because that just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Even with everything happening, clearly you know that I can't say the word because we're streaming on YouTube, but there will be some kind of interference.
Yeah, well, and even that's the thing is I couldn't see Texas turning blue. I think there's other things currently on this map, and if we can with production, I'm just curious what would happen if we turn Texas back to red, and then let's turn Nevada and Arizona to blue, and then let's turn Virginia to red. Though that's what I think. Virginia's over to the far, right there. Turn that to red. That is what I could also see happening. And so, like Texas, I don't think it's nearly as much of a toss-up. I think Fabian's right. It would have to be some level of cheating to make that happen. Big cheating, big league,
the biggest you've ever seen.
Huge. But I think Virginia could go red. I think it's much more of a battleground state than the media would usually portray. I mean, if you look at it, they had Glenn Youngkin. They have Glenn Youngkin in as governor right now. They had prior to that Ralph Northam, And Ralph Northam was the guy, of course, who famously said that you should just swaddle up a baby and consider whether or not you want to keep it after it's born. Then they quickly go to Glenn Youngkin, who is much more of a Trump candidate, ran an expert campaign. If you look at least in the past decade, how they've flipped, it's not quite a Florida in which it's turned into a solid red state, but it is also by no means anywhere near Democratic either. And as well as when it comes to Nevada and Arizona, if we look at just what happened with those in 2022, they were obviously not as red and solidly red as we thought. So,
Yeah.
The only thing I would argue there, real quick, is that Nevada did actually elect a Republican governor. So that's one thing to consider in 2022, Lombardo or whatever.
That's true. That's true.
I was literally about to say that.
Their senator failed, though, correct?
Their senator failed, but and perhaps we can discuss this on another night. But majority of the people who failed were Trump endorsed candidates in these battleground states, specifically Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, right? So
yeah, well, here's the thing is, so I go to Nevada, I go to Las Vegas every 2 weeks ish, right?
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 weeks I go there, and I have never in my entire life, I've been going to Las Vegas since I was 18. I've never seen the amount of reinvigoration of Americanism there that I've ever seen. It is becoming very conservative, and it's so weird because my buddy who lives there, I said, this is crazy to see. He goes, it's everywhere, man. American flag and stuff. So it's really good to see that. And I know it's been a battleground state for a long time. I think people are going to be very, very shocked at the outcome in Nevada because things are turning.
Yeah, I really would flip a coin on Nevada. That was one I just wanted to see because I was like, I think Virginia will go red. If I was being generous to Joe Biden, what would happen if I gave him Virginia, or if I took Virginia and gave him Nevada?
Yeah, the governor there, I mean, he has pretty high approval rating, if I remember correctly, and the famous Landon County case came from Virginia that essentially served led to the win of the governor of Glenn Youngkin there. But like you said, he ran a really good campaign there. He was like a DeSantis candidate, I would say. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, honestly. Any last thoughts about battleground states?
I will say that I think what's needed in this country is a mandate, an overwhelming mandate. Just this, like I want to see Trump win by the largest margin since JFK or something crazy like that. That will send a strong message to the people on the right, and not even the people on the on the left, but not even people on the left, the people who are funding this stuff, that it doesn't make monetary sense to keep throwing money into this cesspool because it's not working. And I think if you have such a large mandate like that, the money will eventually start to dry up, at least for now.
Absolutely. My last thoughts on it is I got a good buddy who lives out. He's a teacher out in Pahrump, Nevada. He's gotten very involved in their local Republican Party and stuff. And so as we get closer and closer to the election, he's definitely a correspondent we can bring on to keep up with what's going on in the battleground states.
Great.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Get the insights of what's happening on all the way down to the grassroots level.
Yep.
I love it, fellas. Well, as you guys, everybody that's watching, we always update you on battleground polls like this when stuff like this happens. We do this at least on a monthly basis. So come on back. Make sure that you're always watching this show and for more updates, because we know things are constantly changing with these polls.
Absolutely.
So, fellas, what do y'all think to wrap up the night? We'll get Kev's quick hits.
Let's do some Kev's quick hits. Let's do it.
Boom, boom.
Before we do that, actually, I do want to. I know, guys, I'm sorry, but gotta pay the bills. I would like everyone to make sure that you join us over on Telegram for our uncensored news group, because it's incredibly important to get news that you don't see on the mainstream media or that you miss because your life is busy and you're trying to battle Bidenomics. You're trying to survive in a marketplace where it's not meant for you to succeed. So on our uncensored news group on Telegram, we post news all day long. You can keep up with what we're doing. You get immediate alerts to when we post new content, but you also get stories and things that you need to know about that you're not seeing anywhere else. So make sure you scan the code on the screen or go to t.me/breakaway. All right, I'm done with that.
I do
And
want to say too,
join the
real
community.
quick, and with that too, I know we talk about Freedom 2.0 a lot. They got this new thing called the water cooler as well, which is kind of similar a
right.
little bit to our Telegram. It's about joining the conversation. Freedom 2.0 has been doing a lot of work. They recently got signed with Turning Point USA as well. So
Yeah.
Breakaway USA, Turning Point USA. I believe they're also getting handed out at Trump rallies and stuff too. And so if you want to be a part of on the ground floor of their movement and you want a chance to win merch and stuff, you can go to their water cooler on their website, freedom20.com. You just make a comment like, oh man, like I love freedom. I love Trump. I love whatever. And then you'll get a chance to win merch and stuff too. So you can go check out their water cooler. It's kind of similar, like I said, to our Telegram. You got a lot of different, I think there's different quotes and stuff from us and other people on there as well. And you can comment on their different slogans. So
very, very cool. Check it
It's
out.
awesome. And to see what our favorite picks are, make sure that you do freedom20.com/USA. That's right, baby.
USA,
we
baby.
have the /USA.
Darn tootin'.
Thank you, Freedom.
Darn tootin'. All right.
all right. Kev's quick hits. Let's do it.
That's actually Kev smashing the computer.
In 20 years.
It will be. It will be someday. I love smashing things, computers. And right now we're going to smash the narrative right here as we become top G's with Andrew Tate. Let's pull up this first thing here. Andrew Tate with a fascinating take here yesterday went viral. Sex is for making children. Any man who has sex with a woman because it feels good is gay. Oh, my pee-pee feels good. This is great. In fact, if you're 40 with less than 5 children, you're probably gay. All that feel-good pee-pee sex and hardly any genetic legacy. And people were going off on him. I covered this on my show yesterday. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. Quick hits, everybody. What are your thoughts on sex is just for making children? Fabian?
You know, because of the last few episodes, now I know more about Andrew Tate than I've ever have. And frankly, ever really care to know. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. I don't know what he's on. I don't know which Romanian police he's fighting or which case he's fighting now. It's just, to me, it's clickbait. I mean, it really doesn't tell me anything. If sex feels good, you're gay. What? I don't get it.
It's exactly that. It's just a bunch of clickbait. But I just go back to what we said literally last week, is that he says one thing that's right, filled with a bunch of BS in there. So he's right that, I mean, to make kids, you got to have sex, right? I think.
Well, okay, so I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him. But what I think he's trying to say is that, like, the people that have sex just that are purely for pleasure, like homosexuals, the only purpose of their sex is for pleasure. And so if your sex is not for making children, he's trying to say that all sex that is not for making children is inherently gay, which is not true. That's not, I mean, you can also have it. You can also bond with your partner. It can be an incredibly intimate experience. Sexuality is actually God-given when it is hetero and with a single partner monogamously. But like, that's what he's trying to say, is because it's for pleasure, you must be a homo.
Yeah, like I get where he was going with that, but that line of conclusion, it's so far out of the. It's just, oh my god,
I don't like it. I don't like it. It's discriminating against all types of sex because all sex matters. So
that's right.
That's just my conclusion.
All sex matters. Starting to sound like a liberal there, but not quite so big. And if you want to talk about somebody who's big, our next quick hit is about Chris Christie. Let's talk about Chris Christie right here.
That's a big hit right there.
That is a big hit.
Take a look and a listen to the fattest man alive talk about something he knows nothing about. Here's
Mike Rotund.
Is a really awful thing to go through. And if you look at Trump physically right now, he looks terrible. A criminal trial is a really...
but do it.
Whoa.
Okay, no, but Cody, producer Cody, make sure that when we pause and we look at Chris Christie, keep him up on screen and go into when he's zoomed up. Like
the awful thing to go through. And if you look at
pause. So then he says, if you look at Trump right now, he doesn't look good.
Someone get that man a mirror.
He looks terrible. That's what Chris Christie, this man right here who's like slouched over in his seat, is
look at that posture.
150 pounds overweight, and is also
he lost some weight. He lost some weight.
look, I want you to notice how, okay, he's obviously a
not
very
noticed.
wide person, right?
Mhm.
Look at how wide that chair is behind him. That thing encapsulates him
It's
like a
wide.
little, yeah, that is a big chair. It's a
It
wide
wraps
chair.
it swaddles him like a newborn.
Yeah.
I just can't get past like the waist. You know, that's just
No, he's just
That's
the
it.
most tone deaf individual. Like that, he showed
really
it on
is.
the debate stage and everything too. He would come up on stage and just basically repeat Adam Kinzinger talking points consistently.
oh that crybaby.
And but even from a funnier way, because it was this big man who was like the poster child for why we actually should let people use Ozempic. So
Oh
So-
my
That's exactly what I
God.
was thinking when I was watching him right now. I'm like, wow, if anyone can use it, it's probably him.
probably be him. Well, let's talk about some prettier people here in this next quick hit right here. Florida-based busiest mermaid in the world is paid $10,000 an hour for some performances. A woman who grew up terrified of the ocean is now a professional mermaid, making thousands of dollars in a short period of time. El Jimenez is a 34-year-old mermaid originally from Puerto Rico, and Leonardo DiCaprio said she was 12 years too old to perform at his birthday party because
Mhm.
because she now lives in Miami and performs as a mermaid act for a living, telling Fox News Digital that she can earn up to $10,000 an hour for some events. She claims to be the busiest professional mermaid in the world, sometimes with triple bookings a day. She said, quote, "I took 3 months of swimming lessons, then went on to get my scuba cert and lifeguard cert. And now she makes anywhere between $500 and $10,000, minimum $300 an hour."
I
there a
didn't know
video?
people. Yeah, is there a video? That's what I was gonna
I
say.
think,
first.
yeah, try to play. I think it might have an ad or something, but it should
Beautiful
play.
ads. We got a guy ad blocker.
Ad
Oh
ad.
my God.
All
All right. Remove it. Let the ad play. Oh, David just went bar. He barred us.
I think he didn't watch the ad enough, and they got mad at him.
Yeah, I guess he didn't watch the ad enough. But I can actually probably find a picture of this that we can pull up real quick. But Fabian, real quick, would you be a mermaid? Would you be a mermaid for that?
I would be a merman. A merman. You ever see what is the movie with Ben Stiller? Zoolander. When he's like his dad, he's like, "You prancing around like a mermaid." He goes, "Merman, Dad." Merman.
merman.
Producer Cody, I just put it in the private chat. Pull up this picture so we can take a look at this woman who gets paid way too much to swim.
My thing is that I didn't know that there's like a fetish for mermaids. Apparently, like what a bunch of rich dudes are willing to pay thousands of dollars an hour. Apparently, for well, now it makes sense. I guess all I needed to see was this picture,
Can we
and
zoom in
now
on
it
this? In this picture?
suddenly all makes sense.
Try to click on it. I think you should be able to click on it, Cody. There you go. Yeah, you could take a look at this woman who gets
This is
paid.
This is like Only Mermaids. Like
I-
this is Mermaids version of OnlyFans. Jeez.
So she goes to these events, but what I'm wondering is who other than like you there's two types of people that I could see paying for a mermaid at their party of whatever kind, and that's like a 10-year-old girl for her birthday party or younger, for somebody, and that's got to be like a very wealthy parent, or an incredibly pretentious individual to where having like butlers and waiters wasn't enough. They're going to have these performance artists.
This reminds me of so when I see things like this happen, the thing is, I'm sure in the very beginning she wasn't earning 10K, right? I mean, obviously not. Maybe once in a while, but the fact that she said that and she branded herself as someone who charges those exorbitant fees, now I'm sure she's all over social media. Now people actually pay it because they want to have the mermaid from social media in their party, so everyone can say, "Wow, you're so cool! You got this mermaid." The same thing with the Salt Bay guy, right? Like, why would you pay $200 to go have a guy pour salt on your steak? It wasn't because the salt tastes that good. It's because he wanted to take a picture and be cool. So it's one of those cultural things that gets hot for a while, and then just like the Nurse Et guy, it kind of fades off. Especially when he got
$10,000 for an overglorified photo booth.
I don't think she's getting paid. She's not getting paid that. Maybe every once in a while.
She
But
says That's what she
well,
says to Fox Business. So I don't know, but let's get on to because we got to make sure these hits are still quick. So quick hit number 4, TikTok has promised to sue over the potential US ban. What's the legal outlook? We don't know, but as you guys might have heard, TikTok's parent company, Byte, whatever, I don't know. ByteDance has now threatened to sue because President Joe Biden signed into law that if they do not sell, they will be banned in the United States, all for claims regarding national security due to their ownership from the Chinese Communist Party. What are your guys' thoughts on the TikTok ban, on the chance that they might sue? I even saw another headline since I prepped this that said they would rather have TikTok banned than sell, was another thing that I heard. So what do you guys think?
This is interesting because they're fighting back. And it's going to end up in a Supreme Court. Maybe the Supreme Court has had a busy year. It's like they're the parents and everyone's like trying to figure everything out all over again. Like people just can't be normal. They got to go to mom and dad and say, "Hey, can you make a decision on this for me?" It's going to be interesting because they got that Chinese money too, so they'll spare no expense.
Absolutely, David.
To me, it's just funny that Congress was able to do this so fast, so quickly, address this such a terrible issue, and they still can't address the border. Like a real invasion, a real threat to our security is happening at the border, and Congress can't address that. But within a matter of like that, they can address banning TikTok, and it makes me a little bit more skeptical about this, actually, because it's like, okay, I understand the CCP influence behind this and the demoralization that it has on our current society, but at the same time, why is Congress suddenly so involved in this? I mean, in a sense, I'd want them to take action, but telling me that they all of a sudden all agree on this kind of makes me suspicious.
So to me, knowing what I know about the intelligence agencies, to me, it would kind of make sense with all the influence China has over politicians. Why would they vote against this? To me, a logical line of conclusion would say the intelligence agencies wants to force a sale so that they can inherit and sell it to Microsoft. Then the intelligence agency has their tentacles in it. Now they control that data. I think that is what the game plan is, because why would all these politicians who are owned by China vote against China? The only person they're scared more of than China, as Tucker Carlson just said on Joe Rogan, is the CIA and the FBI.
Absolutely. Well, and I even wonder too, I'm skeptical of this decision. Originally, I also thought TikTok should be banned because it makes sense. Okay, it's owned by China. They're collecting our data. We don't want another country, especially one that's that's so adversarial like China, to have our data. But I also wonder if that's a national security threat. What about the hundreds of thousands of acres of farmland that China owns, or the Confucius Institutes on our public universities that China funds, or the plenty of other ways in which China has created influence over American businesses, over American land, American agriculture, American mines? Why is it that it's just TikTok? Why is that the one that we're focusing on? I don't know. Is Eric Swalwell just mad because Fang gave him bad head? I don't know. But but that's my thing, is why is it that, like you said, David, why has that become our number one priority? But we can't answer that in just a quick hit. So last one here, and I think this one's pretty flippin' funny, is for the final quick hit, we have a drag queen who is making political statements at Drag Queen Story Hour in front of children. And I think we got a song to sing along here too. Let's hear it.
Free Palestine. Can I hear that? Free Palestine! If you're a drag queen and you know it, shout Free Palestine!
Are you kidding me?
You know it and you really want to show it. You're a drag queen and you know it, shout Free Palestine!
Woo! Look at that flag on the bottom right. That was that not the minor attracted persons flag?
Oh my God.
Is it the pedo flag? Do they have a pedo flag there?
It looks like it.
The map one. Mop or whatever it's called.
Oh my God.
What weak parents. All these parents are weak.
Horrible.
So if you're a drag queen and you know it, Free Palestine. It doesn't even make any flipping sense. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait. It does. They're saying
Are you kidding me?
They're saying Free Palestine from Hamas. You
Well, okay,
know.
but if
Yeah, they
maybe,
never said free up from what.
no,
That's a very
maybe
valid point.
maybe from all I know is that if a drag queen, if Palestine were freed as their actually, because we know, let's be honest, we know what they mean. If a drag queen were set over into a free Palestine, that drag queen wouldn't even be able to talk anymore because their head would be separated from their body, because that's
Very
what they
quickly, too.
do to
Very
people
quickly.
like that. And so once again, as we were talking like with Ari earlier, this is chicken for KFC. These are
Literally.
people where, and it's even worse because there's so much, like, this is just a perfect example of leftism nowadays. You got the drag queen. That's in and of itself. The drag queen also has to be in front of children, so grooming children, and then also indoctrinating children with a totally different ideology about why you should support terrorists. Like, all in one. All you're missing there is like Kamala Harris telling you that a school bus is yellow. So
Kev, real quickly, I think you're affording them a lot more than you should, because seriously, if you think about it, it's two imaginary things. It's an imaginary person over here, drag queen, whatever it is. Hopefully we don't get banned on that. And then at the same time, they're talking about an imaginary place that never has existed, Palestine. So I hope that does it.
And that's why they say reality is subjective. So that's right along your lines. You know, I will say about this whole drag queen thing is their entire point is to shock people out of normal. So to live queerly, that's their goal. And queerly doesn't mean homosexual. It means different than regular. Anything that's
Really?
not hetero.
when
That's
I
what
was
they're
a
going
kid,
after.
when I was a kid, queer meant the guy holding the football that you would tackle. But
Yeah. And that's exactly what they're they're going after, like you said, grooming kids. Literally, if you go and you look up drag pedagogy, it's in a I think PubMed or something like that. But it's a published piece of peer-reviewed work written by Lil Miss Hot Mess. And this is where it comes from. And it says that we want to read the children into filth, meaning put all these ideas in their head. They want it to be something where the kid is very confused and questioning everything that's regular, and saying, you know, the drag queen is fun, cool colors. My teacher and my parents are very authoritarian. I want to be like the drag queen. And that's why they do it. That's why they do it in front of kids.
well,
I agree. I don't have anything else to say. You said it all right there.
Damn
no,
drag queens.
you're absolutely right. I think you said it better than I have ever possibly could.
Well, fellas, that does it for Kev's quick hits, right?
Those are Kev's quick hits right there.
Boom, boom. I
All of
love it.
Yeah, it's
And
a hit.
that also does it for the night tonight, right? We went
Yeah.
through all of our topics. It was a fantastic night. We even had some like literally ground footage from what's happening on these college campuses. It was an awesome night. As always, ladies and gentlemen, please like this, share this with all your friends, retweet this if you're on Twitter. You have to do all of those things. That's how we get through this big tech censorship that's constantly being placed on us. As always, as well, make sure that you follow our Telegram account, because our channel, you have to be in there, t.me/breakaway, or you can scan that barcode. Get in there, get the first uncensored news that we deliver to you guys. We also, yep. And now that we have so many new shows coming up, networks coming up, it's hard for me to tell you guys what our schedule is. But if you want to know our schedule, then go follow us on all of our Breakaway channels. You can see the schedule there. You'll never miss a stream that way. That's on Instagram, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. We're everywhere. Breakaway USA. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that does it. Oh, thank you for their sponsors. Kept me hydrated throughout the
Freedom
throughout
Water,
the event.
Freedom Water. And if you want to partner or anything, check out our website, check out my stuff, and we could definitely help you out there too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and all that fun stuff.
And with that, we are out.
See you guys.